Hi, everyone. In my Zoom conferences today, it was brought to my attention that there were missing pages. Every other page was missing from Wednesday the 13th and Thursday the 14th homework packets. I've included Thursday the 14th missing pages in the video. And I will be emailing all of the missing pages to those people who I have their email addresses. I don't have a lot of email addresses for my 11:30 class and for my 5:45 class. And I'm still missing about 7 from my morning 9 a.m. class. So I'm just going to show you a picture of the missing pages on this short little video. And this is for Wednesday, May 13th. And this was your cartoon that you didn't get to see, I guess. And it says, "Welcome back, sir. Are you planning being," I can't read it backwards. "Are you planning on being our guest for one night only, or will this be your usual extended stay?" So this is the beginning of May 13th. You had a picture, page 103 of the pre-reading about Pompeii, but you are missing probably the most important page of this entire homework packet, page 104, which is the story, The Buried City. I took a picture of it and it didn't turn out well, so I actually typed it for you so that you can see it better. So I'm going to pull up page 104 because you absolutely have to have this story to do anything for the rest of the entire packet. Okay. Pull that up and hide the ribbon. I'm just going to read it again because it's not exactly the same. It goes on to 2 pages, and if you want, you can, there should be room to write in between this. Okay, The Buried City. Every year, thousands of tourists visit Pompeii, Italy. They see the sights that Pompeii is famous for: its stadiums and theaters, its shops and restaurants. The tourists do not, however, see Pompeii's people. They do not see them because Pompeii has no people. No one has lived in Pompeii for almost 2,000 years. Once, Pompeii was a busy city of 22,000 people. It lay at the foot of Mount Vesuvius, a grass-covered volcano. Mount Vesuvius had not erupted for centuries, so the people of Pompeii felt safe, but they were not safe. In August of the year 79, Mount Vesuvius erupted. The entire top of the mountain exploded, and a huge black cloud rose into the air. Soon, stones and hot ash began to fall on Pompeii. Then came a cloud of poisonous gas. When the eruption ended 2 days later, Pompeii was buried under 20 feet of stones and ash. Almost all of its people were dead. Among the dead was a rich man named Diomedes. When the volcano erupted, Diomedes decided not to leave his home. The streets were filled with people who were running and screaming. Diomedes was probably afraid that he and his family would be crushed by the crowd. So, Diomedes, his family, and their servants, 16 people altogether, took some food and went down to the basement. For hours, they waited in the dark, hoping the eruption would end. Then they began to cough. Poisonous gas from the mountain was filling the city. Diomedes realized that they had to leave. He took the key to the door, and a servant picked up a lantern. Together they walked upstairs. But the poisonous gas was already filling the house. When they were a few feet from the door, Diomedes and his servant fell to the floor and died. The 14 people downstairs died embracing one another. For centuries, Diomedes and his family lay buried under stones and ash. Then, in the year 1861, an Italian archaeologist named Giuseppe Fiorelli began to uncover Pompeii. Slowly, carefully, Fiorelli and his men dug. The city they found looked almost the same as it had looked in the year 79. There were streets and fountains, houses and shops. There was a stadium with 20,000 seats. Perhaps most important of all, there were many everyday objects. These everyday objects tell us a great deal about the people who lived in Pompeii. Many glasses and jars had a dark blue stain in the bottom, so we know that the people of Pompeii liked wine. They liked bread, too. Metal bread pans were in every bakery. In one bakery oven, there were 81 round flat loaves of bread, a type of bread that is still sold in Italy today. Tiny boxes filled with a dark, shiny powder tell us that the women liked to wear eye makeup, and the jewelry tells us that pearls were popular in the year 79. Graffiti is everywhere in Pompeii. On one wall, someone wrote, "Romula loves Staphyclus." On another wall, someone wrote, "Everyone writes on these walls except me." Fiorelli's discoveries tell us much about the way the people lived. They also tell us much about the way they died. One day, Fiorelli was helping his men dig. When he tapped on the hard ash, he heard a hollow sound. He suspected that the space beneath was empty. As an experiment, he drilled a few holes in the ash and poured liquid plaster down the holes. When the plaster was hard, Fiorelli cleared away the ash. He found the plaster form of a man. Oh, that's a typo, sorry. There should not, can I get rid of it? The man's body had turned to dust long ago, but the ash had hardened around the space where the body had been. During the next years, Fiorelli filled dozens of spaces with plaster. The plaster forms show how the people of Pompeii looked in their last moments of life. Some have calm expressions on their faces. Others look very afraid. Some people died holding their children. Others died holding gold coins or jewelry. Diomedes died with a silver key in his right hand, and his servant died holding a lantern. Giuseppe Fiorelli, too, has died, but his work continues. 1/4 of Pompeii has not been uncovered yet. Archaeologists are still digging, still making discoveries that draw the tourists to Pompeii. Okay, so I'm going to stop that. Okay, so that's the most important page in the whole homework packet for today. So I will email it to you if you want to, or if you just want to stop it and pause it in this video to answer the following questions about it, it's fine, your choice. But if you want to email it to you, other than the people I talked to in the Zoom conference yesterday, let me know. And especially make sure that I have your email address. Okay, so you have page 105. So I'm going to share page 106. Oops, nope, stop. Share. Page 104, 110, 106. Okay, so these are all personal questions that you don't have to reference the buried city about, but you know, they're nice questions. A site I would really like to see is, my native city is famous for its If I had servants, I would ask them to. Someone I often embrace is like hug. An everyday object I have that tells a great deal about me is, if I were given permission to write graffiti on a city wall, I would write this. And then someone or something that always makes me feel calm is. Now, this one, you just have to match these numbers over to the correct, they're sentences, and you just have to connect the first half of the sentence to the second half of the sentence. So like number 1, tourists do not see Pompeii's people, and let's go down until we find the answer that we think would be correct. And that would be C, right? Tourists do not see Pompeii's people because Pompeii has no people. Okay, so I'm going to try to get all of this in the picture. So just match the first half of the sentence with the second half. Okay, so that's it. There are only 5 questions on page 106. So stop it, pause it, however you want to do that. Okay, page 107 you have. I'm going to share page 108. And basically on 108, it's basically a writing exercise where 106, 110, 108, where you first of all, on A, you write about one possession that is on the list that you made in discussion 4B on page 107 and explain why it is important to you. In the big video, I did this one on my family safe box that includes all the letters and photos. So this is just another example. But it is a complete paragraph, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sentences, but a complete paragraph with one main idea on why it is important to you, and then the following details to support it. And then B is another written paragraph from you. Every year, thousands of tourists visit Pompeii. Have you ever been a tourist? Have you ever visited a beautiful or interesting place in your country or in another country? Write about it. And here is what one student wrote. So, a full paragraph with main idea, what you did, the details, with complete sentences, complete capitalization, grammar, and punctuation. Okay, so that's page 108. Page 109 you have. And page 109, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs, and you're supposed to attach the description of the paragraph number to the pictures on page 110. So I'm going to show you the pictures on page 110. And I believe that when I was doing it yesterday, I did answer paragraph 1 is this picture here on the silver. And this is a picture of a basin, a big bathtub. This is a picture of the streets, and like the rain water went down the middle of the street, and the curbs are really high, and people could walk along the sidewalks and not get their feet wet. But if they had to cross across the street, they could step over these huge stepping stones and not get their feet wet. I think that's genius, great idea. And they were just talking about how the carriage wheels had to specifically be designed to get through these streets because these big, huge paving stones were in every intersection, so your carriage wheels had to be able to go through the sites. Okay, and this is a bronze statue of someone that they talked about. And then this is a picture of the stadium that held 22,000 people. So that's E, C, and D, A, and B. Okay. That is it for the missing pages that you have for Wednesday, May 13th, Pompeii packet. However, there was another mistake made, and when I attached the video at the very end of the big video on the 13th, I attached the wrong one. And I really would like for you guys to revisit that video, or at least the very end of it, because we got that fixed, and the correct video on then and now of Pompeii is on there. So please revisit it and look at the then and now video about Pompeii. So that should be all the corrections. And that's the last of the Zoom conferences. So everybody have a great summer. Bye.